FLOSSTUBE, it's Leigh from Creative Leigh on Sunday the 28th of June with FLOSSTUBE number 81. Welcome to what is a grey dismal day here in Upper Hutt, Wellington. It is a perfect cross-stitching weekend. Not only is it just raining constantly, I think we've had like 2 or 3 days not raining in the last 3 weeks, it feels like. But also we're at level 2 alert for as a precautionary move because we had a visitor from Australia who ended up finding out they were positive when they got back to Australia, back to Sydney, and they were here for a weekend. I don't even remember when, maybe last weekend. So far so good. We've had no community cases come up, but we're just at level 2, which is a bit more cautious. I tend to err on the side of conservatism and any excuse to stay home and stitch, right? So yeah, I've pretty much worked from home, avoided people. What that means for you lovely folk is I have a little bit to show you. This afternoon I'm going to get into my craft room once and for all. No, it won't be once and for all. I get into my craft room and get everything off the desk, get everything off the floor, and do a bit of sorting organisation, because at the moment I can't actually shut the doors to it because stuff has crept forward. Just got stuff everywhere. I'll put some Tory on and I'll just play music and sing badly while I give that a bit of a once over. Yeah, nothing really to report from anyone. Everything's pretty good, I think. My sister called me earlier in the week to say that they were going to go out of cell phone range for a bit because she and her husband Matt are doing a little Aussie outback, it's not really outback, little outback towns I guess, adventure, and they're going from weird little museum to weird little museum and staying, sometimes camping, and sometimes staying in cabins and things, but they seem to be having a good time. But they're going off grid for a week, I think, 4 days. But she was very excited because she'd managed to get hold of my niece, who has a job interview. So fingers crossed that goes okay. But my niece, it'll be her first job. Well, she's looking for her first job basically. So we're hoping that something comes through for her soon. Okay, so let's get on to some stitching. Or stitching related talk. I have only bought one thing in the last week, and that was a project sleeve from Laura, what a cracker, in Pumice, and she had some little project sleeves similar to the book sleeves that or inspired by the book sleeves that Love You More do. So that is that's on its way to me next week hopefully. So I'm excited about that, but that's the only thing that I've bought. I've been very good. I did renew the Tom and Lily floss subscription for another 3 months because I've only received 2 months, but I'm really impressed with them, and I've seen what the 3rd month, I've seen what June looks like, and it is on its way to me. So I'm the only subscriber in New Zealand. I was chatting to Melanie the other night when she messaged me to see if I wanted to renew, and it was 3 in the morning and I was awake, so I thought I'd have a chat with her. I'm the only subscriber in New Zealand, and my floss is travelling the farthest, and the Australia subscribers have already got theirs, maybe this week, but I've seen it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful collection, so I'm really excited. So yeah, I've renewed for another 3 months. And my Silks for You April Silks of the Month Club finally arrived yesterday. This was postmarked in Australia on the 28th of April. Yep, 28th of April, and it arrived on the 27th of June. What are you doing, Australia Post? Definitely having sent stuff to my sister, both tracked and untracked, the tracked mail gets through really quickly. If it's not tracked, just goes in there. We'll do it when we feel like it pile, I think. But tracking's so expensive. So anyway, here it is. I think I mentioned that they are definitely pinker than I thought they might be, but they are beautiful. I'm just trying to put them in order of colour, although one looks, okay. They're in numerical order, and they're just numbered April, Silk of the Month, 1 through 5. It's funny, I watch people displaying silk on FLOSSTUBE videos, and I think hopeless, and I'm like, no, actually I'm hopeless. So that is them there. Now that is a numerical order, but I think in colour order, this one's definitely darker than that one, so they would switch around in a tonal thing. But yeah, they are coming across on the screen pretty true, with this tiny bit of foam board I found to display them. So yeah, April. Again, it's only my second month getting Silks of the Month, but it's so worth it. And I think it's, over time, having the 5 shades in the same colour family are going to give a lot more opportunity for doing subs. So that's them in kind of tonal order. So yeah, beautiful. And this month they came in a little pink bag. So apparently the June floss bulk packs for New Zealand are being sent early, like Monday. So they'll head off to Catherine, and I'm guessing because it's a proper shipment, not just posted as a letter, they'll arrive quicker, and we should get them within a couple of weeks, which will be nice. And I think we're going to get both clubs at the same time, which will be great. So that's what's come in. That's all I've got that's arrived. As I said, I bought nothing else, and just until I get my grass down, well, until I've paid for the grass, which I don't know when the grass is going down. All of my topsoil's finally down. I'm just waiting for them to come and lay the grass down. It's going to be so exciting. And yeah, I don't know whether they do that in the rain or have to wait for the lawn to dry, the soil to dry. I know nothing. Who knows? But anyway, so what did I stitch this week? Yeah, I'm so all over the place. Here's a little interjection. I've got to fully finish an FFO. I finally got my quiet place into a frame, and this little frame I picked up from Art and Frame in Christchurch when I was there on retreat, and they had just had in their sale pile pulled together from, I guess, scraps from their framing, and I kind of did a quick measure up and decided that this would fit in there, and I think I did a really good job. So yay. I'm so happy. This little tiny piece brings me so much joy, and ignore the pile. There's my craft room. Okay, for me that's a hell of a mess, but yeah. Anyway, I forgot to film. Because I've been working from home extra days, when I work from home I get easily an extra 2 to 3 hours that I can stitch because of not commuting. I can't stitch on the train. I'm not lugging all, no. So not having the hour each way or up to an hour each way commute each day. Also, I have my lunch break, I can take a break and do a bit of stitching, and I get up to 3 hours extra stitching a day when I work from home. And it's been raining, and we've been part level 2, so I've avoided people and stuff. So all I've done is basically stitch when I haven't been working, and I've been working really hard because I got a new project, and it's tricky. So I picked up my Gigi R Red Deer sampler. Still in the package. I'm not taking it in and out, but these bags are horrendous to get in and out of, and I want to pass this on to somebody eventually. So yeah, I picked up my Red Deer sampler, which is, I'm not using any of the called for. It's a complete conversion, mostly using stuff from my Victorian Motto Sampler Shop stash, and stitching it on 36 count pumice from Country Stitch, which is our best attempt at a Confederate grey fabric. And I started it for my birthday in January, and I finished it yesterday. Last night, I just had to work out what I was going to do for the name and stuff. So I'm somebody who finds it weird. I find reproductions weird, and this is where I've thought about it, and I've avoided doing reproductions because I think it's kind of weird stitching something with someone else's name on it and a date that isn't a real date. So for me, I take a reproduction as, even though the person didn't design it for other people to stitch, they've worked it for their own reasons, whether it was homework, schoolwork, practice work, something decorative for their house, something to memorialise an event, whatever the reason, they didn't stitch it with the idea that somebody 100, 200, whenever years in the future was going to pick it up and stitch it. And often there are little mistakes and errors and quirks and stuff, and you know, we're using different fabric and we're using different floss, and sometimes the designer or the recharter has had to make choices to fill in gaps or add things in or leave things out or whatever. So for me, it's like, I just treat them as a chart that I've bought. What it is, a chart that I've bought, and like any stitched piece, I can stitch it exactly as it's charted, or I can tweak it. So I've tweaked it, and I've added my own name and my dates. I intend to write up, you know, a little card or something that I'll attach to the back of it when it's framed, that has whatever the information is about what I've stitched it with, what the chart was, what fabric I've used, and that I've adapted it from a reproduction chart based on the original. So that's me, and it's just, I find it weird for me to have something on my wall that doesn't at least strongly reference the fact that this is a reproduction. Like with my Gwen Morrison that we had, that Sam charted from an old sampler, New Zealand sampler, that we gave away at the Wellington retreat last year. I did put Gwen's name on it because part of it is the fact that it was a New Zealand sampler, and that was really important. But at the bottom, I added in that it was actually stitched by me in Wellington in this year. So, and on the back again, I'll put the information that we know about the chart. So even though if I'd kept the original name on here, I would have still found somewhere to reference the fact that I restitched this or whatever. Anyway, again, that's just me. It makes me feel more, and now that I've decided that's okay to do that, and that's what I'm going to do, just treat it like a chart. Just a chart I bought to stitch at my pleasure. I am much happier now, and I'm kind of embracing the reproductions. Yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at. So yeah, I finished it. Would you like to see it? Okay, so here it is. It is quite a bit different from the original. Look at that. So, first of all, it's different from the original because, you know, the original is the original. I don't know what it looks like using the called for because I haven't actually seen anyone having finished it or haven't really focused on it for a while. I've used my own threads, kind of, you know, similar to, but different. I think the red's probably the one where I've focused the most on getting the red something that's quite representative. I've changed heaps of it. Lots of them are little things, which, you know, I can't even remember, but like this one here is shifted all one stitch this way because it was touching the border, whereas on this side there was a one stitch gap, which meant this flower here would have touched. So in here I've taken a row, I've adapted this little stem here so this flower comes over. Somehow this is one stitch higher than, I don't know where that is, I don't really care. So there's only one row between the deer. The grass, I changed which green I used for the grass. I've changed just lots of little things. Up here, there in the centres of the flowers, there was a different colour in the centre, but down here there was not different colour in the centre, so I just did them all the same. I've just made lots of little tweaks as I've gone. By the time I got in here, I think I just went a little bit random with some of these flowers. I love that Triffity pot. And the personalisation. So there are 2 dates on the original. Down, I can't remember which one was which. So up here it had 1861 and down here it had 1866, which they don't know what those dates are. It might be when it was started and finished. I decided to put the year I stitched it up here, so 2021, and I just kind of poked around online and found some slanty numbers that I could slightly adapt to squeeze that in. And down here I put my name and I put my year of birth, so 1972. Again, poked around online, found an alphabet that was sort of slopey and representative of the letters that were on the sampler. I changed some of the colours. The couple of the letters were the colours that I probably in hindsight would have changed, but I'd stitched too far. They're really light, like a really light green, and the really light blue, which is up here. So I just swapped them out for slightly darker letters that are in the vines of that plant so that you can actually read my name. And the big thing that I did, which was just because this was possibly stitched by a young person. Anyway, let's just say on the deer, and you won't probably be able to see it, on the deer, the eyes are essentially in the middle of the deer's forehead. They're like kind of really wrong. So I moved the eyes down and further out to the side. So I had a quick look at pictures of deer. They're hard to see on there. So I had a look at pictures of deer and I found deers sort of with the right angle and had a look kind of scale-wise where their eyes were. So I just moved the eyes because they were quite in a funny place on the actual deer, which is hard to see until you actually look for it. And I changed the face shape a little bit and then I added in this little bit of shading. That's not there in the original. And I modified the neck slightly. I just tweaked a few little things, you know, I made it my own really. But yeah, basically it's 90, oh well, if you take the colours into consideration, who knows what percentages of like the chart. I mean, up here I didn't like how this is different to the chart. It was like the person when she created it, she kind of ran out of space, so I just tweaked that a little bit. Like all the corners are different, they're not just little changes. I think this on this side lined up with this, and on this side on the chart was one higher or one lower or something. So yeah, just little tiny things, but yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's probably like 5 minutes of me rabbiting on about it, but yeah, that is probably hopefully long enough that I might actually have a half decent screen cap for my thumbnail rather than me going, which is what I usually end up with. Cool. So yeah, I am gonna check in with a couple of friends whether they want the chart or not, and then if they don't, I'll look at giving it away next week. So yeah, nothing this week, but I'm just gonna check in with a couple of friends first whether they want it, and then I'll open it up to the wider public later on. So yay, that's another significant finish and I'm very happy with it. So yesterday I picked up my Antique Repeat Motif Borders Sampler, great name, from My Treasure Island off of Etsy, which is this chart. and I'm stitching at the moment this bottom one. It's going to be a drum, so I've and I'm stitching it on the worst fabric in the world, horrible fabric, horrible texture and thick and horrible. I hate it, but anyway, it's fine. I like how it looks. 16 count Gilded Opal Aida from Mystic Fabrics. I bought it on a stash unload site. Partial conversion in DMC, just tweaked a couple of colours. And last time you saw it, I had got to about here. So that's how much I've done there. So I'm over halfway, so I think they're going to be 4 repeats. And I mean, I think it looks really good, but I just don't like this fabric. It's so thick and horrible. So, and I will eventually stitch the other one as well. And squeaky voice, yeah. And I might either, I don't know if I'll do a drum for that one. That one I might do. I don't know. I probably will do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just stitch it one day. But basically, yeah. That's where I'm at with that one. So that is all my stitching. So, I mean, it's, yeah, I'm really enjoying pushing through for some of these finishes. And I'm, you know, heading towards getting myself ready for 50 at 50. So speaking of 50 at 50, I'll show you a few more things that are in my box kitted up. Now, if there's DMC called for, I don't pull that per se, because I don't buy DMC, I don't buy a new skein of DMC for every fabric, for every project. I have a look at it, and depending on what the project is, if it needs multiple skeins or a lot of floss, I'll go and buy those colours. But if it just needs a bit, then I just pull from my master set when I'm ready. Through a monthly subscription to Readly, you can get access to many magazines and a number of back issues. So the back issues will depend on the magazine. So I subscribed, I think I got a free month and subscribed for a month, and went through many issues of different magazines, and I saved the files, and then I let my subscription elapse, and I imagine periodically I'll sign up again when I run out of things to stitch, or if I see something that I want to stitch. So yeah, just cross stitch June 2016 magazine, Be Happy. So on here it is a little, so it's actually a primitive hair design. It's designed by Isabel Abiati of the Primitive Hair, skill level confident beginner, and it is a little bag, but I'm just going to make it a little stitch piece and probably end up being a little cushion or something. Just a cute little bee design. So pulled from my stash, I've got a scrap of 36 count Legacy from Picture This Plus. This is left over from my long dog, the Pilgrim. So yeah, plenty big enough scrap of Legacy. And it's all DMC, well, it's charted for DMC and a floss called Presencia, so I'm guessing an Italian floss. I've never heard of it, but yeah, so DMC, apart from one skein of the Gentle Art Gold Leaf, so I got that because it's pretty, and I figure the fact that she's called out one fancy floss, it makes a bit of a difference. So yeah, that will be a quick little stitch when I do get around to it. So that is one of my projects. And another one is, I think I've shown this before. I was going to start this year with Zeb. I need to check in with Zeb when she actually wants to start it. I'm in no hurry, but you know, this is my only Blackbird design. Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs, and it's a familiar one, I think. What year? 2013, so you know, vintage now. And I have a piece of, I don't know what I have. Oh, I have 36 count Tuscan from Country Stitch, and I'm doing, as always, as usual, as per usual, a partial conversion. So here is Tussock, and this is, I believe, came in a mystery rainbow club, so it wasn't something I picked, I've just allocated it to it. And the flosses are a conversion, partial conversion, so probably these are mostly the called for. What have I got? It's been ages since I kitted this up. So we've got a couple of onyx from Gentle Art, a couple of Garden Gate from Gentle Art, wood smoke and maple syrup, so those will be called for. And then these I've got from my stash, and they are all one DMC and the rest are Victorian Motto. So I've got Victorian Motto, I've got Rusty Coral, Dark Russet, Dark Brown, Very Red Prim. This one is Autumn Weave, and this is a DMC 869. It says sub for Gentle Arts Heirloom Gold. I think I actually have Gentle Art Heirloom Gold in another project, so depending on how much I need, that might end up becoming a call for, but right now that's what it is. So yeah, that is, so I kept all the kind of, like these are the colours for the border, the house and stuff, so I kept them pretty much called for. So yeah, I need to check in with Zeb. If she's planning to start it next year, I'll wait for her. If she's not planning to start it next year, or even indeed this year, then I will probably start it without her, but that's okay. I'm going to be a little bit careful about saying I'll do this as a sale, because, you know, I tend to start and finish things pretty quickly, so if you want to stitch it with me, gotta get cracking. So yeah, and I know it's probably loosely a Halloween design, but for me it's not really Halloween-y, it's witchy. I kind of like witch and fantasy stuff more than I do Halloween, so I'm less about pumpkins, and for me witchy stuff doesn't need to be Halloween. Like, you know, classic Buffy, classic Charmed, classic, you know, Anne Rice Interview with a Vampire. I'm definitely a vampire junkie, but less about Halloween. I'm not really a Halloween person. And the third thing is technically 2 or 4 projects, depending on how you look at it. And I'm pretty sure I showed this recently, but I've got the Nora Corbett Bella Portraits, which I'm going to stitch on 32 count white linen with all the called for materials. I've got just the 4 down the bottom when I start and finish and everything them. I am going to stitch them as pairs on, so I have smaller margins, but pairs on just, they'll fit on white 32 count, so I'll put the 2 together rather than stitching them. So there I've got Bella Rose and Bella Hydrangea. So I'll stitch the Bella Hydrangea here facing each other with a small margin. And that's what I think I'm going to do anyway. And then I've got Bella Butterfly and Bella Bee. And I have all of the accoutrement. There's some Karen water lilies and some Krenak and a butt ton of beads. So that is, these are all ready to go. And the way I'm feeling, I might start one pair soon because life's too short to leave everything till next year. And I kind of miss beading. I don't have anything that requires beading. Anyway, that's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, depending on how many you count each project as in my box. One weird kind of stitching related but life mixing with stitching weird thing that's happening this week is this week at work is we're recognising Matariki, the Māori New Year. Matariki is a Māori name for Pleiades or the Seven Sisters, the constellation, is it a constellation? That we can see in the sky this time of year if it's not raining and grey and cloudy. So we are gathering, so the once a year, it's a big once a year gathering we do at work. I think we're just doing it after lunch for 2 or 3 hours to reflect on the year that's gone, think about the year that's coming, because our financial year ends June, so it's a whole new, it is literally a new year for the organisation. And this year's theme, I think, is just celebrating diversity and who we are outside of work, I guess, reflecting on the fact that we are not just employees of the organisation, but we are also people with interests and lives and multifaceted, so to speak. I think that's the thing. Anyway, I'm going to have a little corner of a wall where I will display some stitched pieces, all of them unframed because we're not lugging in expensive frame things too. I mean, it's just a logistical nightmare. So I'm going to take in either 3 or 5 pieces that will be clustered together, make up nice tidy little cards about the piece and a little blurb about stitching and why and I don't know. So it's going to be a bit weird, but it's going to be fun, I guess. And there are going to be the wall, anyone who does anything, any kind of art or thing that can be displayed will be displayed. I don't know about people who do things that are not creating things, but maybe do dance or music. I don't know. Oh, it's a surprise for me. I just know about my contribution. So I've gone through my pile of stuff and I've picked out 5 things. I've just got to lay them out and work out how much space I need and then let the coordinator know tomorrow and she'll tell me whether I have to go down to 3 pieces. I said I would want to bring 3 or 5 because, you know, that's a good number. 2's weird and 1's dumb. And then I did kind of iron them and I might whip out and get some more foam core and pin them to the foam core, and then I can put like thumbtacks through the foam core into the wall. Just trying to think of an easy way to get them to the place in one, like nice and ironed and neat and not be at risk of lots getting dirty or I don't know. So that's kind of weird and fun, but anyway, so yeah, we're fully being outed as a cross stitcher now. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to go now and stop procrastinating and get stuck into my blinking shambles of a craft room. One day I'll do a little tour. It's mostly not stitching though, so I don't know that it's that exciting, but we'll see. Okay, everybody, take care, keep safe, and as always, don't let your needles rust. Ciao.